I'm Jason, and welcome back to the channel Better Talk English, where we make English simple, practical, and real. Today, we're talking about 3 mistakes that are secretly stopping your progress. These are mistakes most learners don't even realize they are making. If you fix them, your English can improve much faster. Many learners think they are not improving because English is difficult, but in reality, the problem is often the method, not the language. You might be putting in effort but not seeing results. That can feel frustrating and confusing. The good news is that small changes can make a big difference. The first mistake is being afraid to speak and make mistakes. This fear is extremely common among learners at all levels. You worry about sounding wrong or being judged, so you choose to stay quiet instead of speaking. But this silence is exactly what keeps you stuck. When you avoid speaking, your brain does not learn real communication. You may understand English when listening or reading, but when it is your turn to speak, you freeze. This happens because speaking is a skill that needs practice. Without practice, it never becomes natural. Many people also wait until they feel ready or perfect. They think they need more grammar or vocabulary first. This creates a cycle where they keep preparing but never start. The truth is that perfection is not required to speak. Progress comes from action, not waiting. Mistakes are not something negative in this process. In fact, they are one of the most powerful tools for learning. Every mistake shows you exactly what to improve. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid growth. So you need to change how you see them. A simple way to fix this is to start speaking every day. You do not need a partner to begin. You can talk to yourself or describe your day out loud. You can also record your voice and listen back. The goal is to build comfort with speaking. The second mistake is not practicing speaking daily. Many learners study English but do not use it actively. They read, watch, and listen, but rarely speak. This creates an imbalance in their skills. As a result, their speaking ability stays weak. Speaking is like a muscle that needs regular training. If you use it once a week, it will not grow. But if you use it every day, even for a short time, it becomes stronger. Consistency is more important than long study sessions. Small daily practice brings real results. You do not need hours of speaking practice each day. Even 10 minutes can make a big difference. The important thing is to make it a habit. Try to include speaking in your daily routine. Over time, it will feel more natural and easier. The third mistake is focusing too much on grammar. Many learners believe grammar is the key to fluency, so they spend most of their time studying rules and structures. While grammar is important, it is not everything. Too much focus on it can slow you down. When you think too much about grammar, you hesitate while speaking. You try to build perfect sentences in your head. This makes your speech slow and unnatural. Real conversations do not work like that. Fluency comes from flow, not perfection. Instead of focusing only on grammar, you should focus on usage. Learn phrases and sentences, not just rules. Practice how people actually speak in real life. This will help you sound more natural. It also makes speaking easier and faster. Try to balance your learning approach. Spend some time on grammar, but also practice speaking and listening. Use what you learn as soon as possible. Do not wait until you feel ready. Action is what creates real improvement. If you fix these 3 mistakes, you will see a big change in your English. Start speaking even if you feel uncomfortable. Practice every day, even for a short time. And stop trying to be perfect with grammar. Keep going, and your English will grow naturally over time. As you start fixing these mistakes, you may still feel uncomfortable at first. That is completely normal and part of the process. Growth always feels a little difficult in the beginning, but if you stay consistent, that discomfort will slowly disappear. Confidence is built through action, not waiting. Let's go back to the fear of speaking for a moment. This fear often comes from past experiences or overthinking. Maybe you made a mistake before and felt embarrassed. Maybe you compare yourself to others who speak better. But none of that should stop you from practicing. Instead of avoiding speaking, try to face it in small steps. Start with simple sentences and easy topics. You do not need to have deep or complex conversations at the beginning. The goal is to get used to expressing yourself. Step by step, your ability will grow. Another powerful technique is speaking out loud when you are alone. Describe what you are doing or thinking during the day. This helps your brain connect ideas with English words. It may feel strange at first, but it is very effective. Over time, it becomes natural. Recording your voice is also a great method. When you listen to yourself, you notice your mistakes more clearly. You can hear your pronunciation and sentence structure. This gives you a chance to improve step by step. It also helps you track your progress. Now, let's focus again on daily speaking practice. Many learners say they do not have time, but the truth is, you do not need a lot of time. You just need to use small moments during your day. Even a few minutes can be enough if you are consistent. You can practice while walking, cooking, or even before sleeping. Turn simple moments into learning opportunities. Speak about your plans, your day, or your thoughts. This keeps English active in your mind, and active use leads to faster improvement. If possible, try to find a speaking partner. This can be a friend, a classmate, or someone online. Real conversations push you to think faster. They also help you get used to different responses. This is an important step toward fluency. Do not worry if you make mistakes during conversations. In fact, conversations are where the best learning happens. You learn how to react, how to respond, and how to fix errors. Every conversation is a valuable experience, so treat it as practice, not a test. Let's return to the grammar problem again. Grammar is useful, but it should not control your speaking. If you focus too much on rules, you'll slow yourself down. You'll start thinking instead of speaking, and that breaks your flow. Instead, try to learn English in chunks or phrases. For example, learn full expressions instead of single words. This helps you speak faster and more naturally. Native speakers often use patterns, not rules, so you should train your brain the same way. Listening can also help you improve grammar naturally. When you hear correct sentences again and again, your brain remembers them. You start to feel what sounds right and what sounds wrong. This is much more powerful than memorizing rules. It builds intuition. Shadowing is another effective technique you can try. Listen to a sentence and repeat it immediately. Try to copy the pronunciation and rhythm. This improves both speaking and grammar at the same time. It also builds confidence. You should also accept that mistakes will always be part of learning. Even advanced speakers make errors sometimes. The difference is that they keep speaking anyway. They do not let mistakes stop them. That mindset is what you need to develop. If you stay consistent and apply these ideas, You will start to notice changes. Speaking will feel easier and more natural. Your confidence will grow little by little, and most importantly, you will enjoy the process more. That is when real progress happens. When you reach this stage of learning, the most important thing is not how much you know, but how often you use it. Many learners stop improving because they shift from action to overthinking again. They start analyzing their English instead of living it. This is where progress slows down without them realizing it. The solution is to stay active with the language every day. Let's talk again about speaking fear, because it never fully disappears at the beginning. Even when you improve, a small part of nervousness can still remain. That is normal and does not mean you are failing. The key is not to remove fear completely, but to act despite it. Courage in learning means speaking even when you feel unsure. One effective habit is to simulate real conversations in your mind. Imagine you are ordering food, asking directions, or meeting someone new. Then practice what you would say out loud. This prepares your brain for real situations. It also reduces hesitation when similar moments happen in real life. Another important point is that silence does not help fluency. Many learners think listening quietly is enough to improve, but passive learning alone will not build speaking ability. You must actively produce language. Speaking is what turns knowledge into skill. Now let's revisit daily speaking practice again, because it is that important. If you want fluency, English must become part of your routine. It should not feel like a separate study task. Instead, it should blend into your daily life. That is how natural learning happens. One mistake learners make is thinking progress must be big and visible. They expect dramatic improvement in a short time, but real progress is often small and invisible at first. You may not notice it day by day, but it builds over time. Then, suddenly, you realize you can speak more easily. Try to focus on effort instead of results. If you speak every day, you are already winning. Even if your English is not perfect, you are still improving. Consistency always beats intensity in language learning. This mindset will keep you going longer. Now, let's return to grammar focus again, because many learners still struggle with it. Some students feel they must know every rule before speaking. This creates pressure and slows them down, but fluency is not built on perfect grammar knowledge. It is built on communication. Instead of studying grammar in isolation, connect it with real usage. When you learn a rule, immediately try to use it in a sentence. This makes the information stick better. It also helps you understand how grammar works in real life. Learning becomes practical instead of theoretical. Another helpful idea is to learn from patterns instead of rules. English has many repeated structures. Once you recognize them, you can reuse them easily. This reduces the need to think too much. It also makes speaking faster and smoother. Listening regularly will also support this process. When you hear natural English often, your brain starts to adapt. You begin to recognize correct sentence flow automatically. This reduces grammar mistakes over time. It is a natural way of learning accuracy. At this point, you should start trusting the process more. Many learners doubt themselves too early. They think they are not improving even when they are. But learning a language takes time and patience. If you continue, improvement is guaranteed. The final idea in this section is simple but powerful. Do not stop speaking because of mistakes. Do not stop practicing because of fear. And do not stop using English because of grammar pressure. Keep moving forward, even slowly, because slow progress is still progress. At this point in your journey, the biggest difference comes from mindset, not information. You already know many techniques, but the real question is whether you are using them. Many learners stay stuck because they keep collecting knowledge without applying it. They feel like they are improving, but nothing changes in real life. Action is what turns learning into real skill. Let's go deeper into the fear of speaking again, because it is one of the strongest barriers. Even advanced learners sometimes hesitate when speaking to new people. This shows that fear is not about level, but about habit. If you are not used to speaking, your brain reacts with anxiety. The only cure is repeated exposure. A powerful method to overcome this is self-dialogue. Talk to yourself in English during simple daily moments. For example, describe what you are doing while walking or cleaning. This builds comfort without pressure from other people. Over time, your brain stops treating English as something dangerous to use. Another useful technique is role-playing different situations. Imagine you were in a shop, airport, or classroom and act it out. Speak both sides of the conversation out loud. This improves fluency and reduces hesitation. It also prepares you for real-life communication. Now let's talk again about daily speaking, because it is the foundation of fluency. Many learners underestimate how powerful small daily practice can be. They think they need long hours of study to improve, but consistency is far more important than intensity. Even short practice sessions build long-term results. Try to make English a natural part of your environment. Label objects in your room in English or think in English during small tasks. These tiny habits keep your brain active in the language. You are not just studying English anymore, you are living it. That is the key shift. Another important idea is to stop measuring progress only by accuracy. Many learners feel disappointed when they make mistakes, but mistakes are actually signs that you are trying. If you are not making mistakes, you are probably not pushing yourself enough. Growth always includes errors. Instead of aiming for perfect speech, aim for clear communication. If people can understand you, you are successful. Fluency is about connection, not perfection. Even native speakers sometimes make grammar mistakes, so you should allow yourself the same freedom. Now, let's come back to grammar again, because many learners still depend on it too much. Grammar is useful, but it should support speaking, not control it. If you stop every time to think about rules, you lose your natural flow. That is why many learners sound slow and unnatural. They are thinking too much instead of speaking. A better approach is to learn grammar through examples, not theory. Instead of memorizing rules, observe how sentences are used in real life. This helps you develop intuition. You start to feel what sounds correct. Over time, grammar becomes automatic. Listening plays a huge role in this process. When you listen to natural English daily, your brain absorbs patterns without effort. You begin to recognize sentence structures naturally. This reduces the need for conscious grammar thinking. It makes speaking much smoother. Another powerful habit is repeating what you hear. This is not just practice, it is training for your mouth and brain. You learn rhythm, pronunciation, and structure at the same time. It connects listening with speaking. This combination is extremely effective for fluency. At this stage, you should focus less on studying and more on using English. Every time you speak, you are building real skill. Every mistake is part of improvement, and every attempt brings you closer to fluency. The most important thing is to never stop using the language. At this stage of your learning journey, the most important thing is to stay consistent, even when motivation goes up and down. Many learners start strong, but slowly lose energy over time. This is normal and happens to almost everyone. What matters is not motivation, but discipline. If you continue practicing, your English will keep improving. One common problem is that learners expect fast results and get disappointed when progress feels slow. But language learning is not a quick process. It builds slowly, like layers stacking on each other. You may not notice changes every day, but over weeks and months, the difference becomes clear. Patience is a key part of success. Another important idea is to stop comparing your English to others. Everyone learns at a different speed and with different backgrounds. Some people may speak faster, but that does not mean they are better learners. Comparison only creates stress and reduces confidence. Focus on your own progress instead. You should also start paying attention to how often you actually use English. Many learners study but rarely apply what they learn. Without usage, knowledge stays passive and quickly fades. The more you use English in real situations, the stronger it becomes. Usage is what transforms learning into skill. Try to create more real-life English moments for yourself. Even small actions like thinking in English or describing your surroundings help a lot. These habits make English part of your daily life. The more natural it feels, the easier speaking becomes. This is how fluency gradually develops. It is also important to accept that discomfort will appear during learning. Speaking may still feel awkward at times, especially in new situations, but discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are growing. Every time you push through it, you become stronger. Another useful mindset is to stop aiming for perfection in conversations. In real communication, perfect grammar is not required. What matters is that your message is understood. Even broken sentences can still communicate ideas clearly, so you should focus on expression, not perfection. You should also remind yourself that mistakes are part of every learner's journey. No one becomes fluent without making errors along the way. Each mistake gives you feedback and helps you improve. Instead of fearing them, you should see them as progress signals. They show that you are actively learning. At this point, your goal should be to build confidence through repetition. The more you repeat speaking, the more natural it becomes. Repetition removes hesitation and builds fluency. Over time, you will notice that you think less and speak more freely. That is a strong sign of improvement. Another helpful habit is to keep English in your mind throughout the day. You do not need formal study sessions all the time. Even casual thinking in English strengthens your brain connection. This constant exposure makes a big difference over time. It keeps your skills active. You should also focus on understanding more than memorizing. Instead of trying to remember every rule, try to understand how English works in real usage. This approach is more natural and long-lasting. It helps you build intuition for the language. That intuition is what fluent speakers rely on. Listening regularly is still one of the most powerful tools you have. It exposes you to natural sentence patterns and pronunciation. The more you listen, the more familiar English becomes. This familiarity reduces fear and hesitation. It makes speaking feel easier. Finally, remember that improvement is not always visible immediately. Some days you will feel the same, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Progress is happening quietly in the background. If you continue consistently, results will eventually show. Keep going, keep practicing, and keep using English in your daily life. Thank you for spending this time with me on Better Talk English. I'm Jason, and this is not just the end of an episode, it's the beginning of your next level. Keep going, and I'll see you on your journey.